Hello, everybody. Oop, hold on a second. Hi, Lord Magicus. There we go. It's another week. Time to try another Merfolk deck. We're in this really weird lame duck format where everybody knows that cards are certainly going to get banned in a few weeks, but yeah, Modern's probably going to be miserable until then, so we may as well do something really dumb. So, well, actually, I don't know. This isn't really that dumb because it already got a 5-0. Nikachu has been cooking, and we're going to give it a try. So we can get the cards from Mana Traders here, and then we'll talk about this. Yeah. Sorry, we're going to the dark side today, baby. We're going to play blue-black Merfolk. Nani? What? We haven't played black and Merfolk in quite a long time. What is this sorcery you speak of? Well, we're going to find out. Dark Merfolk! Yes! Hello! It is exactly today that you should be here of all days. Because that's what we're here to do. We're here to play Dark Merfolk. As soon as I come get me my cards. Okay. Just waiting for Mana Traders to finish collecting this request. Yeah, we're going to play some blue-black Merfolk with Psychic Frog. So, what? Psychic Frog? That's not a Merfolk, right? I'm not going to tell you that Bowmasters are good? Oh. Look. We do what we gotta do, okay? It's like Nikachu says, if you can't beat them, join them, right? Like, isn't this normally how this goes with Merfolk? Like, at the point at which we start adopting, like, the ridiculous cards in the format is usually the point where you can just, like, say, alright, you know what? This is a fucking problem. Like, remember when we were playing, like, Oko in our deck and, like, oh, yeah, that's actually... And then, like, it's even more broken everywhere else. Well, we're playing Orcish Bowmasters and Psychic Frogs now. It's kind of the same thing. It's like, all these cards are just really, like, ridiculous. There we go. Modern Horizons Tribal, indeed. Yeah, exactly. And we are playing the Nikachu list, yes. There we go. How can we not? He's already played two different versions of this deck with Psychic Frog, and both of them were busted as hell. He 5-0'd with, like, two different versions of it, so... Obviously, there has to be something to it, right? Mm-hmm. This one. Alright. What's wrong? Oh, what? Did they not give... Oh, wait, did I mess up something here? Oh, I see. I have extra cards in the sideboard that aren't supposed to be there. That's why. Whoopsie. Let me fix that. Because I'm going to end up copying this list later. Yeah, yeah. The Tricksters are in the main deck this time, not the sideboard. That's why. Okay. Alright, there we go. Okay, let's get this sized so that this fits in here, right? Right, we'll get it. I want to make it so we have a nice picture of this deck here. Beautiful. There we go. That's it. This is what we're cooking with today. So, yeah, Psychic Frog. This is ridiculous. So apparently, like, and Nikachu's words are, this card is a 2-mana Svyelun, right? So, it's just it's a card that will just, like, take over a game by itself. Every time it deals damage to a player or planeswalker, you draw a card. So, yeah, you keep feeding the frog, it keeps feeding you cards. And this has some really interesting synergy with things like Aether Vial and Inquisition. Because normally those are cards you want at the beginning of the game, and if you draw them later on, they're a lot less useful. So how do we fix this? Well, you can just throw them away to the Psychic Frog to make it stronger, to make it harder to profitably block, and yeah, then it will just feed you new cards every turn that it like hits your opponent. It can get out of range of burn spells, so if your opponent like taps out to like, you know, bolt it or something, you can just discard a bunch of cards and all of a sudden you have this ridiculous threat here that your opponent like is going to have a difficult time dealing with. That also feeds you cards, so you can go all in on this depending upon what match it is. Also, yeah, it gets flying by exiling the stuff that you discarded from your graveyard, so it's also difficult to block it too. Yeah, so there we go. It's a, you know, we play that and we have Svyelun, so this has tons and tons of card advantage to it. But the other idea is that Inquisition helps remove all of the cards that can deal with this from their hand. So your opponent is sitting on like Fatal Push or something. No, they're not. We're going to Inquisition it away, and then we're going to play the Frog once the coast is clear. Make it as hard as possible for them to actually answer this thing. And when we Inquisition our opponent, we get to know what is actually in their hand, so we can play around it a lot better. And the addition here is Fatal Push, which is really important because we struggle a lot versus the Boros energy deck. Like, they just have way too many creatures for the regular mono blue Merfolk to deal with. So originally we were going to experiment with blue-red Merfolk to see if maybe playing like Lightning Bolt and Flame of Anor was the way to go to defeat Boros, but turns out that a Psychic Frog is also just very good, and we can still kind of do the same thing with Fatal Push. But also in the sideboard we have access to Orcish Bowmasters, which against the Boros deck kills a lot of their stuff by pinging it, and then whatever it doesn't kill by pinging it, you can just, like say Ajani, you can just ping Ajani and then block it with your Amass Orc token. So, yeah, so it gets really big. It's awesome. So another flash threat. Or, you know, they attack with like a bunch of tokens and stuff. Well, guess what? You flash in Bowmasters, ping off a token, and then you block like 2 more 1/1. So like literally one card here just like answers like 3 creatures. It's just brutal against these decks. We know this. This is why we don't like to play stuff like Silvergill Adept. And I mean, if Silvergill Adept didn't have to worry about this nonsense, then it would make blue-red a lot more appealing to me. But yeah, as long as Bowmasters is out there, sadly, Bowmasters is like the best answer to Bowmasters. So even if we're up against opposing Bowmasters that are going to try to hurt our Psychic Frogs, well, we can just bring in Bowmasters and ping off their own Bowmasters. So it's going to be very, very brutal. Yeah, that's a very very dangerous sign for a card, and when the card is itself the best answer to itself, that is very dangerous design. That's like one of the main reasons that like Mental Misstep is banned. One reason is that every single deck can play it, and the other reason is that Misstep is also like the best answer to Mental Misstep. But now we have like kind of the same thing with Bowmasters, where the best way to stop a bad guy with an Orcish Bowmaster is a good guy with an Orcish Bowmaster. So yeah, that's probably not a good sign, but it is a very, very format warping card in pretty much every format that it's legal in. It's just absurd. It's like ridiculously powerful. It's just the problem though is like it gets so overshadowed by like, well, I don't know, I somewhat overshadowed, I would say, by how powerful like some of the other like problem cards in Modern are. Did I just? Yeah, I don't know why that happened. Yeah, okay. So stuff like, you know, Grief and the One Ring and Nadu are all like just making Bowmasters look like almost a joke. But no, it is definitely like one of the most powerful cards in this format for a reason, and it will not stop being. It's like as long as there are decks playing like the One Ring and stuff, like Bowmasters is just going to be brutally powerful. So yeah, you may as well get it, just play it, and we're just gonna use it to deal with all of this stupid like Boros energy creatures that were a problem. So yeah, so much value. Clear the way for our creatures. You know, it'll be fine. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The one thing that I think I had seen talk about is if maybe Thoughtseize should be in this deck, and it is definitely possible that something like Thoughtseize like gets slots here somewhere. Um, the Flare of Denial is not quite as good in this list as it is in like the regular Merfolk deck because there's no one-drop Merfolk to sacrifice to this thing. So if you're gonna bring in Flare of Denial, you really want to have a very powerful target for it. So we probably only want it versus like the control decks or like the ramp decks and stuff like that. We don't really want to just throw like a 2-drop away and this. So yeah, it's not great. It's entirely possible that maybe this is supposed to be like counterspell or something. Who knows? But this is how the first iteration of this deck looked. So this is how we're gonna run it. So I mean, obviously it looks really good, and it is far from being the best version of this deck. But it's already powerful enough as is, so we're just going to try out what the master himself tried out and see how it runs for us. Besides, frogs are amphibians. Like, that's Merfolk adjacent, so it's still like we're playing with the good guys, right? Come on. Alright, put the chat on the screen here. There we go. We are on the play. This is like kind of a bad hand. We have like, I don't know, what, 3 mana sources here, vials. I guess like we could keep this, but it looks like it could be really bad. I feel like we have to I don't think I want to keep 5 mana sources here. This is way better. Like this is the kind of hand that is just going to fucking steamroll our opponent now. We're gonna keep this and we will get rid of think the Polluted Delta. Because, yeah, we just go, like, Inquisition and... Okay, well, that's probably going to be less good because we're up against Eldrazi now, so... May as well take out whatever we can, so... Okay, so I need to make sure that I have access to whatever's here. Dismember seems like the one, right? Okay. Okay, so it is revealed here. I just need to make sure that... Yeah, so these are the cards that we know about. Alright, so they played the Cavern of Souls. So we know... That's... So it's probably safe to play the Frog here. Hello! What's going on? Is it Zadua? Did I get it right? Okay. Now, if we could find, like, Harbinger of the Seas, like, this would be fantastic. We'll just, like, absolutely fucking steamroll them here. Okay, this is actually good. I think what we want to do is... We can discard a land to this thing. Make it bigger. I don't think we need the Watery Grave. The Eternal Scourge will die as soon as we target it with anything. At least we might want this Fatal Push. It's hard to say. Oh my god, look, we're just gonna fucking destroy them. So now we get our basic swamp here, and they just lose. Look at this! The power! Goodbye, Urza Saga. We're just going to crush them. Alright, there's a few ways to go here. I'm probably just going to play Svyelun, and I don't think that we're in a big hurry to discard anything to this frog at the moment. But it's nice knowing that we can throw these cards away at any point that we need to. Alright, we win. Absolutely just nut crushed them. That was amazing. Harbinger came at exactly the right time. Oh, I see. One of my viewers is permabanned from Twitch, so he's not allowed to chat right now. Ah, naughty boy. All right. So, probably, let's see. I feel like Inquisition is probably not going to be good against the Eldrazi deck, right? I can get Kozilek's command, I suppose, and the Dismember. But other than that, like, I guess, yeah, that's because it has to be 3 or less. So I think we want to get rid of this. We definitely want the damping spheres, right? That seems really good. I'm gonna guess the Hexcatchers are probably not terribly great. And some counter spells because they probably have like the One Ring. So the question is, what spells do we want to use here? I mean, I could just bring in all, like, I could bring in Tidebinders, which are not, like, terrible. Or, I mean, the other option is, like, just bringing in all 6 counter spells, which it's a little bit sketchy to do that, because there are, like, a Cavern of Souls deck, too, right? There's several versions of this which make it a little bit more difficult to know what's good and what's not. I'm gonna guess that maybe Flare is what I want here. You know what? I don't know if I want Fatal Push necessarily either. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna do it like this. Alright. But yeah, the Psychic Frog is strong in like literally every format. So I think a mono blue deck has no chance. It's going to be very hard because the problem is Boros Energy is very popular, and as long as that deck is popular, Merfolk and just mono blue is going to struggle, right? So they Serum Powdered away some cards here. We can keep this. This is okay. So there's Ugin's Labyrinth. Copter. Yeah, okay. Smuggler's Copter is certainly a card. Does a thing. Oh, we got the frog. That's good. Alright, so I think that I want to play Shores here, and I'm probably fetching a swamp with this Delta. In case we draw Harbinger, well, you know, now, well, we did side out most of the black stuff, right? So the other option is I could, like, try to get the Surveil land with this Delta here. It's probably not the end of the world, because the only thing we need the black mana for is the Psychic Frog, and we already have one in hand. It might actually be worth just fetching for the the Surveil land. So we don't even have a Harbinger, and we don't know if we're going to have more frogs. And the next thing we draw could just be another fetch land anyway, so... We have to be careful of this copter, though. They could very easily answer this frog with this. Oh, no, I don't want to turn off auto yield. I don't want to yield here. I need to crack this delta. This card Devourer, okay. Right, this is where we want Undercity Sewers. Honestly, based in our hand, I don't actually think that Lord of Atlantis is what I'm looking to draw right now. Alright, let's just play the frog. So that's the thing that's, like, the best to probably attack with. They have to be careful, because if, like, if they go all in this thing, right, I could actually just discard cards and try to block this. I'm probably going to try to Tidebinder this thing next turn, though. I'm not going to block it. I would have to discard, I think, 2 cards here, and then and risk them having removal, so... And I don't want to go in on that. Okay, Serum Powder is not really a concern. I'll play Shores. Tidebinder's fine here. I'm almost definitely going to be Tidebindering this thing, so... Okay, well that's good. If we can start discarding extra lands into this too. Alright, so Copter is offline. If we need to use Flare right now, we can. We're hoping that they at least pass back to us, so if we have access to another creature. The Abundant Maw. Okay. Let's emerge here. Okay. I mean, I guess. So I don't think I've seen this card before. They must just have no other threats, right? It's got to be a good sign for us. So this is the stage in the game where we can just, like, discard this Aether Vial to this thing. I think we want to play the Swamp just in case we draw our Harbinger at some point. I can discard this and then exile these cards to give it flying so I can attack and draw a card. I could also just play the Master of the Pearl Trident and then attack with this as well. That seems like that might be pretty good, right? Well, they don't have an island yet, so we're gonna have to work on that. So this, but I mean, if I play the Master and attack, like it would unlock the Smuggler's Copter for them. They would, depends on if they have another creature to play with it. So I think the safe thing to do is probably just discard the Vial here. We'll exile 3 cards. Interesting. I don't think that really helps us right now. So I could just play this and the Master, though. Just, it's not hugely important. It does let me have a blocker for this that way, and if I need to flare, I can. It's a little bit risky. I mean, the other option is I could just, next turn, just play, like, Svyelun Masters here, and then just hold up, like, Tidebinder for this turn. And hopefully, yeah, that should be okay. Yeah, I think that's what I think we're just not going to do anything here. We'll probably just flash in the other Tidebinder, and then if we can flare a spell, probably just do that. So we can always get Svyelun in play to like block this thing, and if you don't have to use the flare, so be it. But I think that I'm supposed to just take 6 off of this. Let's see. They don't need the mana here. Their hand looked pretty bad. Alright, let's go. Yeah, we can dump this other Svyelun into the frog too, so... If I have to, I can just use a flare to protect Svyelun here. Dismember. They have 1 card left. Uh... Alright. So, I mean, this looks pretty good. Svyelun's indestructible right now. If I have to, Master the Pearl Trident can block this thing. But we're in a pretty good position right now. We win. Alright, there we go. Look at how powerful the frog was! Absolutely devastating to them. We drew so many cards off of it. So much card advantage. It was great. Yeah, alright. Well, that's a great way to start off this match. Or this league, I guess. Their silly 6/4 with a lightning helix stapled to it does not compare with our stupid 2/2 Svyelun frog. Busted! Oh, I think that we're gonna keep that. Let me think. So we can always get the Surveil land here, right? And then this should be fine. It's not gonna be like perfect, but I feel like this is a keep. Okay, somebody did ask why I sacrificed Tishana's Tidebinder, because they were targeting the Tidebinder that was going after the Smuggler's Copter, and I did not want them to have access to the Copter. So I sacrificed the Tidebinder that was not locking down. Oh, okay, that changes things a little bit. Well, we're definitely playing the Aether Vial then. I sacrificed the Tidebinder that was not locking down Copter to keep the Copter locked down, because that way less outs for them to potentially like try to draw their way into. That's the idea. All right, so they surveilled away a counterspell. I guess that makes sense when they. Oh, are we up against the fucking Murktide deck? Wow, that's pretty interesting. All right, so we're almost definitely flashing in. Well, actually, I don't know. I might not do anything here. I think I'm just playing Delta and passing, right? I don't want to play into Bowmasters or Counterspell right now, so I'm just going to be patient. And I'll probably just play I'll get the Surveil land with this Delta. There's no reason for me to do anything stupid here, so. There's Mishra's Bauble. Okay. They definitely could have Counterspell here, or Bowmasters. Either way, the Hexcatcher is in danger, so we're just going to get the Surveil land. This is exactly the position where we want this thing. I do not want to be drawing that. I think Mikachu did mention potentially having a second copy of Sewers. But it's hard to like put into the mana base so you have enough untapped land, so I understand why we only have one, but it is not unreasonable to try to consider incorporating a second one. That seems fine. I think we just play. I don't know. What are the odds that we're gonna? Yeah, see, I still don't want to play into any of this stuff here. If I play the Delta, they have to be very careful about cracking this because we could be threatening Tishana's Tidebinder. We have Vial now, so we can always Vial in like a Lord at this point. That is very brave of them. Right, I'm gonna get my basic swamp. All right, and I'll let them do their thing. Because if we find the Harbinger, we can actually just turn off all of their mana, so they don't have any removal. Okay. Sure. They have 7 cards here. Let's throw out a Lord of Atlantis. We're going to be keeping this Vial on 2 for a while. Oh, God. All right, see, this is exactly what we wanted here. We want to try to encourage them to tap out. Fatal Push. Okay. So I think here I have Harbinger of the Seas, and then I can just Violent Hexcatcher if they have Counterspell. That's our plan right now. And no more removal for you, opponent! Should have got that basic swamp. There we go, baby! Free wins! Harbinger of the Seas. This has to be like the Psychic Frog deck, right? Alright. Okay. So, alright, I just want to get an idea of like, I haven't looked at it too much, right? So, because I'm reasonably sure that Bowmasters is something we need to be worried about. Possibly the One Ring, so okay, I guess it probably yeah, okay, so there's a good bet that this is like probably Death Shadow. And they're playing Nethergoyf because that would be the reason for having the Mishra's Bauble. Okay. That's good to know. So Tamiyo is something we should be concerned with. So the Fatal Pushes look like they're probably going to be really good. And honestly, the Inquisitions also look like they're probably going to be really good. Yeah, there's not a whole lot that I really want to change here. So, and actually, if this is the Death Shadow deck, they might not have Bowmasters. So there is that to be concerned. Which means they only have one basic swamp in their deck, and they did not find it versus us because they probably thought maybe we were like a shadow deck that because of the way our land looked. So they probably have a bunch of counter spells and some like toxic delusions and stuff like that we need to be concerned. Yeah, just a bunch of like removal and counter spells. So that seems like that's correct. There could be some Bowmasters. Psychic Frog is definitely a card they could have here too. So I'm gonna say that probably Bowmasters is gonna be a little bit better than Hexcatcher. Trickster looks really good because the Bowmasters can slow them down, but if it means anytime their frog is hitting us, then it lets us like ping them. And we can just, yeah, we can throw like tokens in front of the frog as well. Well, it depends. I guess if they give it flying, that could be an issue. Uh, it's not. It's hard to say. Okay, is this what I want for this? I guess I'm gonna do this. I'm not 100% that that's correct for this though, but I'm still. I don't have a huge amount of experience versus this list in particular. But if they have their own Bowmasters, and us having it one is going to be really good too. So I guess we're gonna keep this. We're just gonna hope that we can just like slam nonsense until we win. Okay. Okay. I probably have to get the I have to get the Surveil land here because I have too many double blue things that I need to cast, and this is not a hand where I can afford to have the untap, or I'm sorry, to get the basic swamp right now. Okay, Street Wraith. So yeah, this is definitely Shadow. Nethergoyf. Okay. Oh shit! I was supposed to do that. Oh my god, that's so terrible. I guess what's gonna happen is we kind of got lucky by finding this Aether Vial right now, so we're just gonna have to do it this turn. I can threaten to have Fatal Push, but I don't have to use it yet. Because actually, yeah, I still want to play this Vial here, but like I don't want to play a creature into this just yet. At some point, we want to try to use Trickster to eat Nethergoyf. That's the idea. Or if we can get our opponent to tap out but at any point. They got the basic swamp, so the Harbinger is not going to lock them out of the game. There's Tamiyo. Okay. Should have definitely done this last turn. No, I actually want that on top. Let's see. We could find Fatal Push for this thing. I guess I'm sort of okay if they do that. There's also a good chance they have a counterspell right now. So I guess we should play one of the 3 drops. The question is which one. I guess we could just play the Svyelun right now because that's the thing that like if they counter Svyelun, it wouldn't be that like big a deal. So we do have another one. It also like right now they can't Fatal Push it because they don't have Revolt online for this turn. Okay. Go for the throw? Okay, sure. Fine. But I don't want to go after this Nethergoyf until I have at least 2 creatures in play and they've used some of the removal. Okay. So they only have 3 cards in hand. It looks like they're going to maybe play Shadow here. Okay. They have 2 cards. This is probably a good way to do this. Let's see what they got. Fatal Push and Fatal Push. I guess we're just taking away a Fatal Push. I guess this is a turn where I probably want to try to... Let's see. I guess it's going to depend upon what they do with the clue token. Alright. I'll play the Master of the Pearl Trident now underneath Counter Magic. They'll Fatal Push it, but then I still have Merfolk Trickster up with the Vial so that I can eat this Nethergoyf. I mean, the other option is I could also just try to kill like Tamiyo, but they'll Fatal Push the Trickster in that, or yeah, Fatal Push will save that. So yeah, the Shadow is probably not attacking, right? Sure. Mm, 2 cards. Let's try to eat the Nethergoyf. Fish Fam here to represent. Oh, fuck. Did you top deck another Fatal Push? Really? Seriously, opponent? Was that what's happening here? Well, they literally just top decked it because we just saw their hand. So all right, they've gone. Yeah, there's 3 pushes and a go for the throat in the graveyard. All right, well, we're only taking 1 damage this turn. So we're not in a terrible position yet, but we need to do something quickly because we got to get going here. I think this is gonna stay on 2. Would have been, yeah. I think we have to play Svyelun here, right? So. Okay. I mean, it's definitely far from over, so. Yeah, and I might take this vial up to 3 if it gets back to our turn so that we can Inquisition them plus, like, Vial and Harbinger and then potentially do something with our other mana. Yeah, I don't think this is a really sketchy attack. Okay. I'm going to try to kill Tamiyo. Because I want to do this before this thing has a chance to, like, flip. Okay. Just hoping they didn't draw a fucking 5th removal spell. That's it. That's what we're praying. So, yeah, we are doing a literally Nikachu's 5/0 Psychic Frog list right now. Are you kidding me? Okay, no, they're just trying to draw it. Okay, they're just like, they're looking. It's like, you better not. I swear to Svyelun. Alright. Yeah, I'm not worried about this Goyf because I have this Svyelun here to just block this thing forever, and we can always find like a Fatal Push or something for this later. Okay. So they found a fetch land, so Shadow is online here. They probably don't have another basic land. Alright, I'm going to take the Vial up here. Interesting. Alright, what are you working with, opponent? First match we won versus Eldrazi, so we're off to a very good start. This is our second match. Alright, let's see. What are they going to do here? I guess I can stop them from losing more life right now. So yeah, whatever land they fetch for is not going to give them any value. So their Shadow is not actually going to do anything here. Okay. All right. What do we got? Sink into Stupor, bouncing Svyelun to my hand. Okay, I guess. Sure. That's fine. So what do you have left in your hand? Tamiyo and Spell Snare. Neither of those are going to be good, so let's get rid of Tamiyo. And this is a 2/2, so it's not doing anything to me, so I guess what we're doing is we're just gonna... We can get rid of the Nether Goyf, I suppose. They could just recast it, but they're gonna have to shrink their graveyard a little bit to do that. But I think we do want to do this right now. And I'll just leave the Trickster back to block the Death Shadow in case they get frisky, so... Sure, Preordain. Yeah, we have Vial for Svyelun here, so we know that they're sitting on Spell Snare. So look, Inquisition told us that we need to be careful about that. They put one on top and one on the bottom. Alright. So likely whatever we're going to cast is going to get Spell Snared. So we got to just pay attention. But that's fine. Like, sure. This is going to come back. Doesn't get to attack us, and we get to Violence Svyelun before it gets to attack again, so we will have her indestructible. But look, the value here is now that we know about the Spell Snare, we can play around it a lot easier. So, okay. I think I'm just passing here. Is it possible they could have Consign? Maybe. No, but it's only triggered. It's not going to stop Aether Vial from doing anything. No, I guess I'll do this here, just because if they find removal, I want to make them use the mana for the ward. But I'll do it on their turn, just in case. Toxic Deluge. Oof, that's rough. Well, we're not dead yet, but that's very close. Alright, now we're actually just dead. Okay. Yeah, that was brutal. Okay. Yeah, Toxic Deluge off the top was very powerful. Okay, so I'm gonna say that it doesn't look like maybe we don't really need this. It's not bad, but I don't know. Let me think here. There's not a lot of spells that I want to force. The Flare might be okay. But Deluge could be a problem, so maybe it's worth having these. Yeah, okay. Maybe just taking like one of these. Alright, let's do it like this. We'll be on the play. Alright. No, we can't keep this. This is... we're stuck on one land here. We could... It is possible to keep this and try to surveil into our next land, so effectively we get to look at 3 cards and try to find a second land, and if we find it, we probably win, but if we don't, we probably lose. No, we get 2 cards. We only get to look at 2, right? So we're on the play here. This is very tempting, but I don't think going to 5 is going to be the way to go. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to put Flare in the bottom. Alright, we got to pray. We're going to pray to Svyelun. Find us a land. Yeah, definitely on top. Alright, we win. Well, we don't win yet, but that's going to go a long way, so... Okay, cool. I mean, I can just play the frog and force them to have to spend their turn using removal on it. That seems fine. If we draw another land, then maybe we can just slam Harbinger of the Seas and just win. Sure. Nope, but alright, well. There we go. We didn't find the third one in time. Okay. I'm yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Okay. That's fine, I guess. Well, if I really need to, I can use this Trickster with this Flare, but I don't really want to do that. Cycling. So they might not have their third land either. Oh my god, they really don't. This is probably the scenario in which I want to flare this thing. Because I really want to protect my chances of winning with Harbinger of the Seas. And if we land this Harbinger, we probably win. Alright. Oops, Ah, they fucking had the Stern Scolding. Damn it. Alright. Ugh! Had to try, right? And they found the fucking land now. Oh, alright, that's brutal. So, this is gonna get rough really quick. They're probably sitting on a pile of counter magic. No? Okay. Well, Svyelun out is a good sign. That means we have hope. Could be like go for the throats, though. What are they doing here? Are they deluging? It looks like they might be. Okay. If that's the best they have, then this other Svyelun might be enough to win. Or if we just top deck another Harbinger. Alright, Svyelun. They have 5 cards, it is going to be very difficult to get there, but we're asking for so much. They obviously don't have land, so their hand is all gas, so the question is, what do they have going on? Death Shadow, that's actually fine. Tamiyo is also fine. Of course, they have Fatal Push. Alright, I think we're basically lost here. Damn it! The Revolt is not important at all against this deck. There's basically nothing for, all their creatures are, 1s or 2s. Yeah, they have way too many cards, and we don't have anything to, fight back here. I guess they could have, but I doubt that's something we need to be concerned about. I will say, this was a Molda 6 with a 1-lander, so... We're basically fighting against our deck, except their deck is actually designed to do this. Okay. So, my plan here is to Trickster this thing and Fatal Push this in their turn. So I'm assuming that they'll probably, counter it. And I want them to tap out so the counterspell can't hit the Fatal Push. Okay, they're just going to let this happen. That's fine. Let's see what they do here. Well, they could have Stubborn Denial, so I am not going to use the Fatal Push at the moment. Okay, that seems fine. I'll do this on their upkeep, I guess. Not gonna... I could attack them, but it's a little bit risky, because if they, like, do find a way to deal with this... Okay, so that was never going to be a thing anyway. So we know they have a counter spell, so it's going to be very difficult to resolve spells at this point. So yeah, we kind of figured they probably had it, so... If we play this frog, it's 100% getting countered. They've gone through 3 fatal pushes already, and a toxic deluge. And we know they have counterspell, and we don't have a, This is the only problem I have with like some of the splashes is we don't get to play with Cavern of Souls, and I really want Cavern. Okay, that's actually not terrible. No, I guess I'm just gonna wait. I want to try to use the frog as a board breaker. So as soon as they try to do the Delta, I'm gonna flash in the Tidebinder. Force them to use the counter spell on this. And then hopefully next turn I can play this and they won't have a counter spell for it. Or maybe I'll draw Flare or something to back it up. Psychic Frog in Bloomsboro? Okay, oh, that's not a good sign. Sink into Stupor. Ooh, alright, that's brutal. I guess Sink is not the worst thing that could have happened right now. Okay, well that's not good. Okay, Okay, they just let the Lord resolve. That's concerning. Alright, well, that makes sense. Well, Shadow is going to kill us very fast. That's rough. Alright, we gotta try to do something here. We know that they're going to counter this, but I have to get it out of their hands so I can at least try to do something. We've had a very hard time without Vial getting through stuff like Stern Scolding. Yeah, that one spell was just brutal by itself. I can't attack because the Shadow is actually going to kill me if I do, so... Oh, yeah, well, we figured they probably had to head something like that, so... Fine. I guess I can at least get it out of their hand. Oh, that's... Okay, so they're just gonna cast, this, right? They'll just kill our guy and then just attack us. I think. So right now, what's gonna happen here? If I play the Psychic Frog, they will Toxic Deluge, then for at least 2 to just kill the frog. And go to 6. But this will get -2 as well. So effectively, this is gonna not change, right? Well, it gets bigger from them losing life, but then this is also going to make it smaller. So I guess the question is, do I want them to be at a lower life total or not? Well, we're only going to survive one more turn anyway. May as well just do it like this. If they draw like a fetch land, we're dead anyway. We basically need to draw like Merfolk Trickster. Or I guess a Fatal Push could also keep us alive, right? That's possible. So they have one card. They put 2 on top. Oh, okay, never mind. They found Nethergoyf. All right, we're dead. So yeah, that we lost to the opponent who's basically doing what we're doing, but like without the fish synergy in it. So that was actually a question I had asked in the Discord earlier. I'm thinking about this, like, is playing like that sort of style deck with like Shadow or maybe Delver or something like Murktide, is that with the Froggy like a better version of what we're doing or not? I'm actually not sure the answer to this yet. Um, Maybe it may be or may not be because we have more creatures, but they have more interaction. So, and we tend to struggle with that. So yeah, the more when they have like tons and tons of removal, it gets really hard. But also, they also have counter spells which back up the removal, and because we didn't have Cavern of Souls, that makes it a little bit harder too. That I really would like to have Cavern of Souls in these kind of splash decks, but it's very hard to do that and still support having your mana for your turn 1 Inquisitions. So that's just a thought that I had when I saw this earlier. This hand looks fine. We're gonna keep it. We're up against probably the Boros Energy deck, I'm guessing. Well, that's what we kind of want this for, right? So, unfortunately, we have to kind of get the Watery Grave here, so we're going to hurt ourselves a little bit. Oh. I'll probably play Sewers next turn. No, that's not ideal. I think I'm just playing another Vial here because I don't think there's any value in trying to do anything with that, so... Well, they have a mountain, so the Harbinger is not going to actually stop them from doing anything. And I don't think there's any chance that I'm, like, doing... or relying on this to resolve next turn. I think I'm actually looking for Fatal Push. So they definitely have stuff like Discharge, I'm assuming, so... There's another Ajani, so... Unfortunately, that means they're going to flip it. Life is going to get very hard very quickly now. Like, this was just not a great start versus what they had going on here. They have a board with 8 power on it right now, and they're actually going to kill us next turn. And yeah, we're dead. Like, it's almost not even worth just showing them anything else in our deck. Yeah, that's not going to help me right now. Yeah, because they can just, like, put a counter on every one of these things and just kill us. There's no way we can actually beat this, so... Alright. So, yeah, this is their turn 3, and we're effectively, like, dead, because they're going to attack us in turn 4, and we just lose. Yeah, okay, well, this is why we need, like, the fucking Bowmasters and the Fatal Pushes. So, let's go. And Hexcatcher is not terribly good here, I don't think. Yeah, I think this is just kind of what we want. I think Inquisition's okay. It's not, like, fantastic, but it's fine. We'll keep it. One of the things that I thought about with blue-red is trying to play, like, one-sided sweeper spells in the sideboard, so... I was thinking about stuff like Electrickery, but there's also a few other things that are possible. Alright, this hand looked really good for what we're trying to do. It means no matter what they do here, we can just, like, threaten to kill their stuff. I'm gonna play the Catacombs. If they play a creature in turn 1, I will probably Fatal Push it. Otherwise, I'll just get the Surveil land. Alright, Fatal Push. Go. Alright, well, that's kind of what we wanted, so... I guess we'll just get basic island here. And... Sure, we'll play a fishy. Expecting that this fishy is probably not going to survive back to our turn. I'm hoping that they play, like, a 1 toughness thing and then, like, a removal spell or something so that Bowmasters can then just counter what they're doing. So... oh, that's not great. Alright, may as well surveil with this thing. And I'm probably going to... Oh, that card is actually pretty good. I really want this Svyelun for this, but trying to deal with the Ajani is going to be difficult. Okay. I don't think this is going to attack me at all, so... Okay, so what's going to happen here, right? What card do I value the most at the moment? I'm just thinking, like, if they kill their own cat token, that's going to make life difficult for me. Or I could use Trickster to tap it down. Or I could just use the Bowmasters to kill this thing. Like, this will flip, but they can just... Yeah, the problem is then they can just make another token, so... This gets very difficult very quickly. I could just Trickster this and ensure that it's not going to flip right now. And then hope that I have a way to just deal with it. I think that's better. I don't think using Bowmasters at the moment is the way to go, because they're just going to end up with another token regardless. So, like, now the token can't really attack me. So they can take my Bowmasters away. We have Svyelun coming, which is kind of nice. Oh, they took Master. That's surprising. Right. Oh, fuck. They're just going to flip this one. All right. I guess they just have... If you have two Ajanis, you have two Ajanis. Like, this card is really hard for us to deal with. Like... Svyelun is not... Oh, actually, no, we do have the... They know we have the Bowmasters, so... But now it's not going to do anything because this is just going to keep pumping these up, so... And I know our top card is not going to help us. We're in such a bad spot because of this. Ah! Why? Why is this my life? Alright. And this is just going to get worse because this is just going to... This ticks up to make these things bigger every turn. Because Bowmasters was so bad against this Ajani, and then having a second one was just, like, the absolute worst, too. Yeah, well, the other problem is, like, you know, the Guide of Souls is also something the Bowmasters couldn't deal with. So, like, we only had one removal spell to deal with, like, 3 different things. This is why this deck is so hard. Like, Mono Blue would not have a fucking snowball's chance in hell with this. I guess I'm just playing Svyelun and hoping. Like, I can't attack here, right? There's no way that works, so... Okay. Sure. Thonian Nightmare, why not? Okay, this... Yeah, like, we're playing black to try to deal with this, but, like, this curve out was... Yeah, them having Ajani, like, these early in these games when, yeah, we don't really have anything for it, yeah, it makes it so difficult. So... Yeah, sure. Guide of Souls is going to come back, and they're going to just, what, make a token, I guess? And then this will trigger. Yeah. Alright. What am I hoping for right now? Like, kind of like Harbinger of the Seas, I guess? That's not irrelevant. Hmm. I'm going to have 2 triggers here. I could just get rid of this token. I could get rid of this token and then ping this for 1 and attack it with Svyelun, so force them to block to protect it. Actually, I could just attack it with the Svyelun now. That's also fine. Alright, let's see if they want to throw something in front of it. They do not. Okay, so this we're bailing ourselves out of a really bad spot. Double Bowmasters is hopefully going to do it for us. Okay, what's going to happen here? Let's get rid of this thing. Sure. You know what? You have your own Bowmasters. That's fine. I'm surprised they didn't flash that in when I attacked with Svyelun. Alright. You know what? I should not have played that. I could have just held that in case I drew a frog, because I could have discarded it to it. I guess they're just going to get Ajani back here. They still have to do some work to flip it, at least. This Nightmare engine is so brutal because I can just keep doing it over and over. Yeah, I don't actually know if we have a way to get through this all, so. This because between Nightmare and Ajani, they can literally do this every turn. It makes the token for them to sacrifice, so it's almost impossible to get rid of it, right? What do I need? I need Harbinger of the Seas. That's probably the only way I'm getting through this. I don't even think that's gonna help at this point. This board is just way too brutal. They have Bowmasters here. I don't think I can actually beat this. How do I... What if there was any hope, how would it even go? But how would I attempt this, right? Because if I attack with Svyelun, this is just going to make a token to block this thing. I could bounce this back to their hand, but then I have to worry about this and then attacking me. Yeah, it's going to get... They have so much energy, right? It's insane. Yeah, because right now, if this is going to kill me, and then whatever else they put stuff on is going to kill me. So it's I almost have to just, bounce this thing, but even doing that, it's not really... I can't draw any cards with this, because it's just... This is not going to do anything. Yeah, I think this is lost. I'm just going to... I don't think there's any way to get through this. Alright. I guess I have to attack with the Svyelun. There's no there's no other alternative here. But yeah, I can't even fathom what I'm gonna draw at this point that's gonna help. I don't know, maybe a Merfolk Trickster or something. But it's not like they're gonna take any damage from this. Yeah, none of this matters. Oh, they could also just minus this thing and just kill all of my creatures with Ajani. You know what? Yeah, no, Ajani just wins. Yeah, you got it. Well, okay, so the deck did not do what it needed to do against this Boros deck because they just had Ajani in both games and we just did not have a good way to stop it. I think this one in particular because, well, they're playing the Mardu version with the Chthonian Nightmare. That in combination with Ajani just was a hill that we were not prepared to defeat, right? The Bowmasters is good against half of the creatures in their deck, but it is not good against that in the Guide of Souls, and that's what they were using to kill us. We needed them to have the other stuff. Yeah, so I don't know. There are definitely other cards that we can play that help against it, but yeah, no, this is the reason. Mono blue would have zero hope. There is no fucking chance that a mono blue Merfolk deck would have won that match, and no matter what cards you had drawn. So there is at least a chance that our deck could, but it's still going to be very difficult. Okay, you know what? I think we can keep this. I'm going to. I'm definitely gonna get the basic swamp here. Because I'm almost certainly going to have to take 3 from the sink next turn. Trying to minimize the amount of life I'm going to lose. So we need this basic because we know we have Harbinger going to come. Are we... Okay, Stitcher Supplier. Oh, God. That's not a good sign. That's a really bad sign for us. Like, we don't have, like, anything for graveyard decks right now. I do think I need to bolt myself and just play this frog. Which, this is also now effectively a Watery Grave thanks to their Urborg, so... And this other vial is almost definitely feeding this frog. Spymaster's Vault, okay. Grief? Think about this, like... They're like, so, okay, so here's the thing, like, they're gonna just grief scam away, like, our entire hand. This is gonna be so bad. We need the frog to get back into this. Alright, I guess... We're really screwed if they have, like, both Fatal Push and the Scam here. What did they exile? They got rid of the Trawler, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. They took out Harbinger here. Okay. They know what our hand is. This is just brutal. Alright. We're still in danger if they have like Fatal Push. So we don't have a good way to protect the frog. Okay, you know what? That's not that bad. I would have thought they would attack with this for sure. I guess they want this in play for Gravecrawler. Well, that's pretty good to have. Discard Aether Vial. I'm gonna tap this can't block, so I'm just gonna Trickster this thing. I want to keep the flying available for a future turn. So if I draw a land, I can play the Harbinger right now. So I want to get in my damage and potentially draw the land that lets me play Harbinger, because if I do, I probably just lock them out. Alright. Awesome. Look. Frog just got us back in this. No, we were looking down, like, yeah, that was not a pretty situation, but this is looking a lot better here. Okay. They have nothing going on here, so what in the absolute fuck are we up against? Looks like some kind of, like, zombie deck. I don't know. Hmm. It could be Dredge. It's definitely possible, but I'm doubting that that's the case. Yeah, well, it's difficult to say. Maybe this is like it could be like a crab vine deck. I think that if it was though, then they probably wouldn't have conceded, right? Because they, no, they might. Oh, okay, so yeah, I don't know. It's not really clear to me what it is that we're up against. 'Cause they obviously, like, they just couldn't cast anything there. I don't know that there's, like, any deck that I've seen that plays like these cards, so I'm not sure exactly what we need to be worried about. I mean, the Bowmasters is probably fine. I'm sure that they may have copies of this themselves. I'm guessing Hexcatcher is probably not that great, because, again, they probably have this going on. They have the Chthonian Nightmare, right? So, do have to be worried about that. Alright, well, you know what? Let's try it like this and see how it goes. This hand seems fine. We're going to keep it. As long as we don't get, like, Grief Scam, this has a very good chance of just, like, doing the thing, so... Well, Thoughtseize is only going to take away one of these. Grief is another one of those... Oh, they took away Inquisition. They're very afraid. Okay. What are they trying to hide from me here? I guess I'm going to play the Polluted Delta. I'm probably going to get the Surveil land, even though we have, like, Fatal Push and everything. I have a feeling, like, Harbinger is either going to resolve and we're not going to need black mana to win. Well, they have the basic swamp anyway, so I'm not sure it's going to matter. I don't think that's going to make a difference here. What were they? Oh, maybe they were worried we were going to take their only other land. That's possible. You know what? I think I am going to kill this thing. I'm going to play Trickster at the end of their turn, and then if I don't draw a land, then Master. Otherwise, I'll probably just play Harbinger and try to slow them down. They have a Mutavault. Okay, that's interesting. This feels like this might be some kind of combo deck that I don't know how this works here. Pay a life, sack another creature. Okay. I want to say that I'm vaguely familiar with this, right? So are they gonna like Blood Artist or something? Okay, well, hopefully this is gonna slow them down. They have access to one swamp, so they get to cast like a spell. No, but what they could do is they could like cast the Gravecrawler. To get a treasure. No, but it doesn't really get them anywhere, so I don't know. They have to kill this thing and then they can start pumping mana into this. Yeah, I don't know. Like there's got to be like a blood artist or something involved in this, right? I have to imagine that's what's going on here. So we need to kill them quickly before things get out of hand. That is one thing that's also notably different about this deck versus the mono blue one. We don't have Tideshaper or Spreading Seas or even like Dockhand to help with the Ponza plan. Like Harbinger will hurt our opponent's mana a lot, but it will not completely lock it out. So we need to be aware of that. Okay. I mean, I have another one of these things, but I'm assuming that's just going to get another basic swamp. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Alright, Nightmare. Keeps them from attacking me with Mutavault at least. And then hopefully next turn I can just play like... I can maybe if I draw like a land, I can play Master and Trickster together. Try to win a race. No, 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 no. What do we got? Grief. Okay, that's rough. So probably take my Master of the Pearl Trident. Yeah. The Trickster does keep me in this. But it's going to be hard, right? I guess I could draw another Lord. That's not going to be the one. Alright, let's see what happens. If I tap this thing, I can attack, put him to 8. Like, that's not enough to get me there, so... What I need to do is, like, tap down this Grief, and then, like, try to double block this thing. I could just play another Harbinger of the Seas, but... If I play another Harbinger of the Seas, I could double block this, but yeah, it doesn't really get me in a better spot. I think I'm supposed to play Vial plus Trickster right now. I have to slow my opponent down as much as possible. I might actually, like, let them attack with the Grief, then Trickster. To remove its menace so I can trade with it. And then maybe throw these both in front of here. They're gonna just fucking keep doing this to get rid of this, though. Okay, that's gonna be a problem. Like, yeah, if Grief dies, they're just gonna get it and take my Harbinger back, so I have to keep the Grief from attacking me this turn. I'm not worried about a single Gravecrawler. What does the treasure token do for you here? Oh, you're just trying to grief me to get this out of my hand, I see. Look, this is just like a fancier way of doing grief scam, right? That's what's happening right now. I don't think that we have a good way through this. That's not going to do it. Because I'm going to lose my board trying to survive here. Okay, this is just not cool. I think I... like, this is so hard. I don't know how to fight this, because they have... The stupid fucking Chthonian Nightmare is just awful. I hate it. Alright, maybe I need to have the counter spells for this. Okay, oof. Alright, let's do it like this. We're getting grief scammed in just a fancier way. I guess I'm gonna keep this and I'm gonna Inquisition them. We're just gonna hope that we can frog them. They've mulled to 6. Okay, that's sort of okay. I guess the only problem here is if they, like, grief me, like, I'm gonna lose my Sink into Stupor, but I'm hoping that's not what happens. Hoping that, like, this is just gonna be brutal against them. Okay, okay, there's the Marionette Apprentice. Okay, so let's see. That is their combo card, right? So if I take the Gravecrawler, they can't actually do anything in turn 1. I mean, I guess if I take this thing, right, then they don't really have a good way to do this. They can play these two dummies. This is not going to block. The problem is if I play the Gravecrawler, that's going to come back to this. Okay. I gotta think about this. I mean, the other option, like, if I take them Apprentice, then they don't have the engine online. It's not that bad. Alright, I think we have to do it like that. The good news is that their hand wasn't that impressive, right? So I guess they're gonna just get the basic swamp right away, right? That they have to. Okay, so there's Gravecrawler. We need to start drawing cards with this thing, so let's just get this online. I'll probably discard the Vial to this too. There's Tower. Oh, they just fucking drew another one. Oh, that's really bad. That's like the worst possible thing that could have happened. They just This is like this the Thoughtseize bug, right? That's how this works. Oh, you know what? I should have blocked this. I totally forgot. I was just like so demoralized because I Thoughtseized them and they drew immediately the turn afterwards the card that I just found, so I guess it didn't matter. They had Flare of Malice. They were just going to do that anyway. This is not very helpful because they're just going to do this again next turn. We don't have a good way to do this other one. So I have to like play this thing, right? But they have their combo basically all here, right? So they just need I think we're actually are dead, right? They just play their stupid thing like sacrifice this, play their do they have another untapped mana source for this? I think they actually just kill us here because we just don't have anything to stop this. Okay, well, I guess we need Fatal Push or we die. Because what's going to happen is they're just going to drain our life total here because they have more life than we do. All right, so how do we get out of this? So what happens is they will pay 1, cast Gravecrawler, sacrifice Gravecrawler to so 18, make a treasure token. Then we lose a life. If they have more life than we do, then we die. That's how this works, I think. Because then they can just use the treasure token, recast the Gravecrawler. Okay. I could use Trickster to tap this down for a turn. That might be enough. Okay, let's think about this. So, Trickster technically does mean they can't kill us this turn if we, like, do this on their upkeep. They can cast the Gravecrawler, but they can't actually, like, loop it, so... The question is, how many cards do I throw away into the Psychic Frog? So the correct thing to do here might be to go all in on this, right? Because if I attack them for 5, tap this thing down with Trickster, they can play the Gravecrawler and attack me for 1, but it doesn't do anything. And then hopefully I can find like Fatal Push or something and disrupt this for next turn. Yeah, discard 4 cards, 5, put them to 14. I draw a card, draw for turn, potentially draw another card with this next turn. Like, it might be that I'm supposed to throw, like, all these into it, because if I do that and give it flying, I can get it to a point where if they have less life than we do, then they can't actually combo us here. That's the hope. Okay. And I think we're discarding, like, 4 cards to this. Okay, we just have to hope that they have nothing, right? That's it. That's our best bet right now. So they can put the Gravecrawler in play, but they can't actually do this yet. If they have another one of these, well, I think we're dead, so we're just hoping. It's like a really weird kind of aristocrats type combo. All right, well, they had something, so I think we're dead, right? I don't think with that, like, if we need to top deck Fatal Push or we lose. So yeah, there we go. All right, well, we're still in the game, I guess. All right, how do I want to do this? This can't block. I attack with this thing. I can't kill this with a Fatal Push, right? I can wait until their turn when they try to do this, and then I can push it then. Okay, well, Grief is on the stack, which means if I don't do this now, then it's too late. I think we still lose to this Grief, basically. Well, actually, no. What's gonna happen here? Yeah, I guess we're not dead, because they evoked this, right? So they can't get it back. They get a treasure token, but and the Grief is gonna take our Hexcatcher, but they get to keep this thing, so we're still, like, in some trouble. This is not good. We have just barely avoided death, but they just get like a bajillion treasure tokens here. I have to block or I'm dead, right? So this swamp off the top was terrible. I needed what? Like another fatal push would be really good. This technically keeps me alive, but doesn't actually do anything useful. I think we're actually just dead here because I can block this, but it doesn't matter. Okay, all right, we lose. That was just like really weird. It's not a good matchup. So, like the threat of creature combo with like getting the graveyard shenanigans and grief on top of it. Yeah, that's rough. So like let's look at this. Okay, so this is a fairly removal heavy deck, a fairly removal heavy deck, and then like another like mono black deck here that again just has a fair bit of removal and like nonsense. So yeah, that's really kind of what we're struggling with right now because and I think it's a lot because of like the Boros deck just having like really powerful creatures. Like so many of these decks are just out here playing tons and tons of removal spells. It's we need to protect these creatures better, and that's I'm not sure that I am hugely a fan of putting the frog in the Merfolk shell because we don't have a lot of tools to protect it. That's kind of it. Like this list doesn't have the counter spells in the main deck, and like the flares you cannot easily curve into protecting with like Flare of Denial because you don't have one drops with it. So if you play the frog in like turn 2, then it's really vulnerable, and any creatures you play before it are likely to eat up like a counter spell or removal because we don't. Yeah, the counter spells are vulnerable too without the cavern. So I don't know. I think we need to have some of these removal spells. I'm just not sure that like. All right, I mean this. We have to keep this, right? I'm just not. I'm not sure that. I'm not sure that without like Cavern of Souls that or like having the counter spells to back this stuff up that it's really that great. So that's why I was thinking earlier if like maybe the Shadow deck is like the better version of what we're trying to do because they are playing with like more removal and more counter spells and they can better protect their threats. Yeah, and we're gonna be weaker against this too because now we basically only have Harbinger. So if we don't find Harbinger, like we have nothing we can really do against this deck here. I would love to pay 3 life. This has been like a really rough week, but I don't know. I think again part of it is because like this is a lame deck or a lame duck format. Like a lot of people are just kind of doing whatever. So interesting. I would have guessed they would, unless they just have the third Tron piece in their hand. There was like no reason not to crack this, right? This has to mean that natural Tron is just happening here. And there's no way we can Harbinger this turn, so I think we're fucked. Getting the extra damage. Because if they have the One Ring, then I need them to be on as low as life total as possible for this. You know, they did naturally have Tron. So, like, and this, we're going to struggle it because we have, like, none of the tools that Mono Blue, like, has against this deck are, like, in our main deck here. We have Harbingers and that's it. No Tide Shapers, no Dock Hands, no counter spells at all. It's so much harder. And Inquisition is really bad against this deck. They're playing like a bunch of bombs that Inquisition can't take. I don't know. I'm not sure like what the best answer for Merfolk in this meta is, but like it's probably not mono blue, and to be honest, it might not be Merfolk at all. That is one of my worries here. Alright, sure, you can take whatever you want from here. I guess they probably take Trickster, right? That makes the most sense. So if you don't take Trickster, I'm definitely tapping this down and just attacking you for 1,000,000. I'm kind of getting the impression that I don't think this is a good format for fishes at the moment. And on paper, it should be because, like, we're pretty decent against NATO. But the thing is, like, a lot of people don't want to play it in the leagues online because, like, we're probably better in the challenges against it, but we're going to be especially worse here. Um, but yeah, the more that people are going to, like, play, like, Boros Energy, the harder and harder life is going to get for us. Okay, I think I have to tick this up to 3 in case I draw Harbinger. Well, I mean, we can always put Svyelun in play anyway. This is fine, so... it's possible they might not have anything here. Alright, well, they might give us a Harbinger now. Maybe. Nope, that's useless. Alright, well, they go to 6 here. Alright, we have Svyelun, and we're hoping that she's going to be enough. They're going to have basically infinite mana, so the One Ring is just going to be just really difficult. If they have the One Ring, they have the One Ring. I put them on as low a life total as I possibly can to try to at least make it possible to get like through that if they maybe could kill themselves, but more than likely not, because they'll almost always just draw a new one. I think I'm just putting Svyelun in play here. They have 7 mana. Yeah, like they just get the One Ring. They chose Ensnaring Bridge. Okay, that's actually interesting. Hmm. They have 2 cards in hand. All right. So we do have Sink into Stupors. I'm just trying to think if there's any line where we could like kill them now. I don't think so because if we had Hexcatchers, we could have like there's a potential world where if we had like 2 Hexcatchers, we could sacrifice the a Lord here and then attack and then maybe have like a 3rd Hexcatcher, but I think that sadly that's gotta be a thing. Okay. We need to draw a land and then draw a Sink into Stupor. That's a little bit late. I think we're actually just, yeah, because now if they get the One Ring, I don't think we're reasonably beating it. I don't know, there's way too many ways this goes south now. These two vials are just like so bad in this state, but yeah, they had natural Tron. Like that's always like when they choose not to crack map on turn 2, that's like the worst feeling in the world. 7, okay. It doesn't really matter. Svyelun was not what was going to win this game. Thing is, even if we draw the land and play Harbinger, they still have access to like 6 mana. So, and they again, Karn can just wish for the One Ring, and they can just draw a bajillion cards if they really want to. I get okay. So here's the thing. Right now they have 3 cards in hand. So if they try to get the One Ring, they have like it is definitely possible they could end up with too many cards in hand. Okay, so they're playing it safe here. Yeah, the talisman is not going to attack. They don't want to like end up stuck with too many cards. So this is smart. Um, may as well play it. I can always sacrifice it to Hexcatcher if they cast a relevant spell. But it's not really what we need right now. They find like All Is Dust or Ugin or something, we're just dead, so. It's not impossible to win this game from here, but it's very unlikely. Like these are the worst games too, because like you have to keep playing because you're not actually dead yet. It's still possible. Like if their hand was just really bad and they like fuck up a lot, like you could draw like the land and then get there. Okay, well that's probably gonna do it. Well they can't actually attack with it. They can only get rid of one thing, right? Okay, so goodbye Hexcatcher. Because as long as this bridge is here, the cityscape leveler cannot attack me. So it's. I feel like they had to have had something better than that to find, right? Like, there's no way that that's the best card they could have possibly wished for. Okay, well, there's the land, right? So maybe we can slow them down a little bit. I guess they're just going to Kozilek command this, right? That's what's happening. All right, them scrying X is dangerous because like again, they have to like not have the ring in the top like what, 7 cards of their deck, and we have to draw a sync next turn. Now, but it wouldn't even be good enough because they still have like 2 blockers, right? So yeah, I don't know. Like, I actually needed this in play. Yeah, we're so far away from victory here. All right, I think at this point it's like safe to assume like that them resolving that spell was enough because they're gonna dig deep enough where we need to find we need 2 turns to get there and they only need 1. So yeah, like it's too much. It's not worth the time. All right, Damping Sphere. I think Nikachu said he was playing this because we are a little bit weaker to them now. All right, well, Fatal Push is useless. Inquisition is also like really bad. We need Tidebinder. And Svyelun is not very good. This is probably as good as it's going to get, so we're going to keep this. We're going all in on this Psychic Frog. Play this Damping Sphere and hope that it slows them down. They blow to 5. Okay, so this sphere might do something. This is a very, very uphill climb here for game 3. Or, what? No, we're at game 2. Fuck, yeah. No, we have to, yeah, for the last match, and we have to win 2 games here, right? So, yes, we're gonna just get the Surveil land. Yeah, I want that on top. I need to be able to cast these other cards. There's nothing they can do this turn that I would interact with, so I can just F6. I guess technically, like, I could have Flare or Force of Negation for, like, a map, but, yeah. Alright, Frog. Do your job. Opponent says cool list. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I guess I can throw this Catacombs to this away to this thing, right? Actually, I don't know. Oh yeah, opponent's like, I feel bad for fish. The meta is so unfair. Yeah, well, life's tough. You know, get a helmet. I think we're probably just gonna play this Damping Sphere this turn. It's gonna slow them. Actually, I don't know if I want to because they could play the One Ring, right? So maybe this is a turn where I'm supposed to play Tidebinder. I almost feel like I should be throwing these creatures away to this thing. Maybe the Trickster. It's just I kind of want extra damage, but at the same time, I probably like need to have these lands. Okay, I could play the cat. Like I could discard a land. Well, the problem is like I don't want to discard a land because I really want to make sure that I have 4 mana for next turn. So I just attack for 1, draw a card, play Tidebinder in them, just in case they play like the One Ring or a Karn or something. Tidebinder can deal with it. Okay. That's actually really good to have here. That makes me feel better that I did not throw away any of these cards. Search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Alright, well, I think we're just using Tidebinder here, right? We don't actually have another basic island, so we have to get a Watery Grave. Oh, right. I can't cast another spell this turn. Because I did this in the wrong order. That was a mistake. Okay, well. I need to exile some cards here. So I can give this thing flying. This is still probably okay. But it could have been better. Alright, well, that's fine. We still have another Trickster for the Force. We could have gotten to attack with this Tidebinder this turn. That's the only difference. So they have access to 3 mana here. Actually, I'll let them attack. If they want to attack, that's fine. Because I don't... If I have to cast this Force, like, I need to make sure that I can actually cast it. Like, if he dismembers a creature, it's not really a problem. Okay, so he's going to make a 1 or 0/1 token and then draws a card. Okay. Sure. I guess I just tap this thing down with Trickster because then the Psychic Frog guarantees to get in and draws me a card. Which might draw me a land so I can play the Force of Negation. It's not bad. We're in a pretty good position in this game. Alright, what are we doing here? 4 mana. The One Ring, how do I want to do this? I guess I can just force this, right? I could also just throw the Hex... Well, no, I have to force this, okay. Yeah. Because they do have a token that they can block with, so... Okay, we win. Okay. Alright, I guess we're just running this back. Alright, well, we're on the draw now, and you know how Eldrazi plays, so... What was it? Yeah. If you can get natural Tron, Eldrazi deck is... Like, if you can just naturally draw Tron all the time, Eldrazi is the best deck that you can ever play. So... Depends how lucky the opponent is. They are keeping 7 cards, so apparently really good. We cannot keep this. I would love to, but not with 1 land. This is much better. Keep this. I think I'm actually going to get rid of a land here. We're most likely to draw another land, so we'll just get rid of the Delta. That's not a good sign. Like, they just play Tron land pass. We're dead. Like, there's almost nothing we can do about it. Yeah, like this is such a bad position now. We have no card that can slow them down here. Like, I guess we could draw a force, but like that's about it. Whatever card we were looking for, that was definitely not the one. So our opponent is going to have free reign. They have 7 mana to just do whatever the hell they feel like it, and it's probably going to be bad for us. I guess we're just passing, because we'll probably flash in Hexcatcher and just hope. This is awful, though. They're like, the chances that we're going to win from here are like very, very low. They can resolve basically any spell they want to at this point. Yeah. Well, that's definitely one of them. So we need to just draw Harbinger right off the top. That's our best possible hope. If we don't draw Harbinger, like, the game's over. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Force of Negation is not irrelevant. But it's gonna suck because I almost have to, like, Tidebinder this ring and then force whatever they play next. I need them to just not have anything. But they have 8 mana and like 5 cards in hand. Them not having anything is not an option. That's it. I have expended everything I can possibly do. Like, top decking Harbingers are only possible hope here. And it might not even matter because they still have 6 mana. They could just play like Devourer of Destiny. Okay, well, I guess they don't have it, so. Alright, come on, just one time. It's so bad. Alright. Unless the rest of their hand is just like lands or something. I guess I'm going to keep this vial in my hand just in case we ever find a frog, because I can just feed it to it. There's not really a good reason to play this right now. Oh, this is not looking good. That's gonna do it. All right. You have a 1 ring unlocked, and I have nothing else here. Well, that was a miserable failure, to be honest. So the deck is weak against Tron. That's just for sure. And then our other losses, we lost against what, the weird kind of mono black combo reanimator deck. We lost against like the Death Shadow deck that's basically doing what we're doing, which, like, it feels like that should be beatable, but it's still probably difficult just because no matter what we're doing, it's always hard when they just have a bunch of removal. And the thing is, we don't have as easy of a time like trying to mana screw them by just like slamming like Tide Shaper into like Harbinger of the Seas and having like Flare of Denial to protect it and everything. So, yeah, we don't have like the free win against that deck, so we actually have to fight it a little bit more fairly, and I think in a mirror match kind of like that, they are tuned a little bit better to beat us. Especially with like Toxic Deluge. Like that card is just very, very good against us. The counter spells in general are not really what you want to bring in against that deck, I don't think. But I don't know, it's tough because like there's always those like one or two bomb cards where they can just have them and it's very hard to defeat. So, and then we lost against Boros Energy, which I think it was largely down to the fact that they had like Ajani and we did not really have a good way to contest it. So the Fatal Pushes were good with that. Like the Bowmasters did not really do their job against that deck, and especially the fact that again they had to like Chthonian Nightmare. So there's two decks that we played against that had the reanimator strategy going on. So I don't know, like I think I like this deck in theory, but like after having played with it, I don't really feel like I'm as confident in it like as I would want to be. So, and I'm not sure how much of that is just because of the random nature of like league play versus like whatever the actual meta shares would be for like challenges and stuff. I feel like maybe there's a possibility it could fare better in like the challenge meta. I could see that being the case, but I don't know. I feel like Fish in general is going to be struggling for a while because yeah, like the Boros deck just has a lot more removal, and a lot more decks are going to play a lot more removal because of that too. So, the Frog was definitely really strong. Like I just kind of wish that we had a better way to protect it. So, there was one other version of this deck that that Nigachu played with and also like had a good result with, and you know I'll show you what it looks like here. Because there was like a more kind of sea and sky version of it, and then it's certainly possible that maybe like that version of the deck is a little bit better, but I don't know. Well, you tell me. We'll look at this for a second. So here we go. This was the other version of the deck. So this one actually does have the counter spells in the main. So we do have Force of Negation here in the main. And we're playing, it has the Bowmasters in here, and it's also playing with Subtlety. So you still have your like Harbinger and like Svyelun. The idea, this is much more focused around trying to just like slam like a Frog or a Svyelun and take over the game with them. You have Tidebinder for that a little bit too. There's not as many creatures, so like Flare in the main wouldn't make sense, but the Force definitely could help. I could see that being a little bit better. I don't know, but I always feel like whenever I don't like not having Cavern of Souls. Like that always really bothers me. It feels like every time that like I don't have Cavern of Souls, like that's when my opponent just like is on mono counter spells and stuff. It's like I get wrecked by them so hard, like on the non-cavern draws. So, but the mana base probably can't really play it. So I don't know, like. You might have to cut something like Sink into Stupor for that, and it's not really a card that we want to get rid of because this is actually useful to cast as a spell. So, yeah, it's rough, but I don't know. There's definitely like there's something to like playing the Frog for sure. Like this card is very powerful. I do think that it's probably not getting as much attention right now as it should because of stuff like Nadu just like ruining everything, but especially in Legacy, like this card is ridiculously good in the Delver Shell because you back it up with like Force and Daze, and it's just it takes over the game really quickly. And I mean, we did see like the Dimir Shadow deck, and you know they obviously like can play this card, and it's very strong in their deck too. So, I don't know. I'm not sure if the red-blue version of Merfolk would have fared much better, but I don't think that mono blue is the answer. That's for sure. I am at the point I'm not sure that any version of Merfolk is going to fare well right now until we see some bans, because I think that will shake things up a little bit, and then we'll have a better idea of what to deal with. Like, it's this really weird kind of like no man's land where like half the people just don't want to play, and the other half are just gonna like, well, you know what? Since nothing matters, I'm just gonna play like literally anything, and just like, because everybody like knows that cards are gonna get banned anyway, so it's almost like nothing even matters. I don't know. It's rough. So it's unfortunate to have this happen. Like, you know, like two really bad leagues in a row. Well, last time we were experimenting with something that was other than this, but I don't know. I might like shelve Merfolk for a little bit, because like I'm not really comfortable with it where it's at the moment. Like there definitely is like something to this, but I was not really particularly feeling it. So maybe it's just because of the matches we had, but yeah, it's, I don't know. We'll see. This seems like this should be fine, but it didn't really play out the way we kind of wanted it to. So I don't know. It's unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? So. Alright, well, that's all I've got for this week. I don't know, maybe next week I'll play, like, another... I had an idea for, like, a different kind of Belcher list that I was interested in trying, and... Yeah, there's a couple different, like, other things that we could experiment with between now and, like, whenever the ban announcement is, since we know that that's going to be a thing, so... It's a good opportunity to, like, fuck around, I guess, so... We might do that next week. But anyway, yeah, that's all I got for this week, so... A little bit disappointing to see this, but, alright, well, it is what it is. Like, the data is the data. If it doesn't work for us, then it doesn't work for us. I mean, it obviously can work, but it looks like, you know, there's going to be stuff where it struggles against, too, so, I don't know. Alright, well, I'll see you next week, everyone. Take it easy, and, yeah, I guess let me know in the comments, like, if you've experimented with any splash colors at the moment, so, alright, see you later, everybody.